Just looked up today, realized how far away I am from where you are. It gave me life worth dying for, but between the altar and the door, I found the lies that promise more. Here I go again. Oh, I let you down, but somehow I will make you proud. I'll turn this sinking ship around, make it back to you. With all my faith and my good name, just dirty rags and tearing straight to cover up my guilty stains that already washed away. 'Cause all you ever wanted, all you ever wanted, all you ever wanted was my heart. Freedom down the road there, my chains have all been broken, but limits never fought me from the start. Lord wanted what my heart. I was chasing healing when I've been made well. I was fighting battles when you conquered hell. Living free from a prison cell. Lord, I lay it down today. So I'll stop living off of how I feel. Start standing on your truth revealed. Jesus is my strength, my shield. And he will never fail me. It's all you ever wanted. All you ever wanted. All you ever wanted for mine. Freedom's on the road there. My chains are all broken. But it's not the all me from the start. All you wanted was my heart. My chains have been set free. No more fighting battles you want for me. Every Christ and stay complete. All you ever wanted. All you ever wanted. All you ever wanted was my heart.
Is that on yet?
This
This is Melissa. No, there's a bonus meeting she's starting. So, how do I record?
It's recorded that.
Where is it? It's supposed to be over here. There she is.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for your patience while I worked on some technical issues over here. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good.
Yay! All right. So I am I've got some Zoom things popping up here asking me
Why isn't it doing it, Sam?
what are you looking for, Debbie?
Oh, just had no. Sorry.
Okay. So I have a few Zoom things popping up on the screen, and we are recording. And as I was working through some technical difficulties, this song came on, and I put the lyrics in the window and just made me think about what God wants from us. And all He wants is your heart. And what does God want to give to us? What will He withhold from us? And the answer is nothing that's in our best interest. He doesn't want to withhold any good thing. And that is a powerful thing. So as we move forward to abundance and being a good steward of finances, tonight I just want it to be all about you tonight and not about teachings. That's why this is your bonus call. The next 12 weeks, whether we have women that continue to join us over the next week, you guys, the early bird adopters, the people that took action, the people that broke through fear and doubt and wondering, is this class going to give me what I'm looking for? I'm on my hands and knees praying that it does that, plus even more that you didn't even know you needed to look for. So we'll have the technicals, we'll have skills, but all knowledge comes through him. And that is my request for you, is to remember that as you study the materials. Not everything will apply for you at this stage and at this season. That's why you have the recording, so you can keep coming back to it. And as a reminder, if you don't already know, God's people that he called, he never told anybody to be poor, ever. On the contrary, he went to Abraham, the first big guy in the Bible. He's like, hey, Abraham, you want to be rich? Yeah. All right. Follow me. I got plans for you. Um, God doesn't withhold wealth. There's the prayer of Jabez, where he said, hey, God, enlarge my territory. I want more. And did God say to him, well, that's pretty selfish of you? Did he say, all you're after is the money? That doesn't mean anything. I want my people to be poor. On the contrary, he's like, yeah, you prayed that prayer? Get ready. The floodgates are about to open. Even Job, who interestingly enough was the most righteous man on earth, he had massive amounts of wealth. And when it was taken away, he went through a period that was really rough, but then in the end, God gave him back 100 times more than he lost. So let's remember the God that we serve, and let's not listen to the voices that say, oh, you need to be poor, because we know that our God is a God of abundance and does not withhold any good thing. So, and as moms, as women, they always say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first. So it is okay to have wealth. It is okay to enjoy it, as Ecclesiastes says. But we're going to learn now the skills to receive it, grow it, steward it, honor God with it, and still enjoy it, because that's a blessing from God. So as we go through our next hour, you saw what Beth had written in the group and some of her goals. And I just want to open it up for you guys to share what you're hoping to get out of the next 12 weeks. It could be an emotional thing, it could be a spiritual thing, of course, a financial thing. It could be, hey, I want to learn the technicals. I want to learn how to get in low and sell high. Or, hey, I've seen charts and these things they call candlesticks. What the heck does that mean? I want to learn that. It can be, hey, I find that I get scared around money and I'm afraid to invest. Whatever it is open for you guys tonight, and I'm here to listen.
I'll share first. I feel like I'm Sarah, by the way. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I haven't actually been able to put a ton of thought yet into this, but what drew me to it was that I have felt for some time now a pull towards wanting to learn how to invest. That is not the natural um way that I am. I feel that's something that is, even the thought of wanting to learn that is a growth for me. I feel like I would hear that kind of thing and my brain would just like shut off. Like, I don't even know what that is or what you're talking about. That's for other people that are good at that stuff, not me. um but just as I've kind of been able to piece together a little bit more of what that actually looks like to live that way, I'm drawn to that. And Larissa's a big part of that. I have kind of tagged along and then kind of fell off for a bit there, with just learning from you, Larissa. And I have felt for a long time just drawn to like your heart, the way that you want to teach us this thing. It's like you found a good thing and you want to share that. And so I want to hear, I want to learn. And I love the way that you care so much about our kids and their futures. And that feels like a really big piece for me. I have two boys who are 8 and 5. And that just feels like something I want to teach them as they grow and be intentional with them. It feels like a wise thing to learn how to grow our money and know what's actually going on with our money and not just kind of be really passive with it and let my husband do everything. We want to be on the same page, and he's been really interested in learning in this area. So I feel like this is my way of learning. His way is different in what he's doing and what he's listening to, and but this is a better way for me to have this group and this leader and this accountability. And so yeah, but if I were to dig deeper, and especially once I start hearing other people's goals, I'm sure I'll be like, oh, that's such a good goal, I want to like that. I want to do that too. So, but just to get us started, that's kind of where I'm at.
Awesome. I love that, and you're right. I have a passion for the future, leaving a
Mhm.
legacy with our heirs. Again, starts with putting the oxygen mask on ourselves. And I also coach women that don't have children, and
Mhm.
they still will leave a legacy. They're still going to leave something behind to the
Mhm.
people that were in their circle. So I love that. Love that, Sarah. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. I'm Debbie. Hey, Larissa, Grace,
Hey.
and Sarah.
Hi.
Um, I got into TWF actually back in 2018 and then totally forgot about it until last year. And wished I'd started back in 18, but I'm very, very late in the game. I'm 62 and I have some money from a 401k that's just not enough for me to be able to retire and or leave anything for my children. So I decided to jump in. I had met Hans and Danny back in 18. And so a year ago, I just took all the money I had and I just jumped in and I've invested it through Hans teaching and doing fairly well with that. And but now I'm to the point where I want to learn more. I want to learn other ways of trading or investing, and I like this nice little group of us women. It's just like a nice little support group, and um, with God as the focus.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I'd like to be able to retire in about 8 years, hopefully before that. Teaching my kids how to do it so they don't have to wait till late in the game. Because I wished I'd known this when I was younger, but that's okay. This is how it's working out. And just as long as I can teach them how to do it, so they can. I'm worried about AI. I'm worried about AI taking over a lot of jobs. And these kids aren't going to have a job, but if they invest in their money, then in 10 years from now, they'll have money and they won't have to worry about working. So that was my thought. So I apologize. I'm having dinner. I just got home from work. I was naughty. I sped my way home. I got out late. So I apologize. I got to eat. I'm starving.
Thank you for sharing, Debbie, and absolutely, please do not starve or faint from hunger while we're here. Eat and enjoy. And I love how you recognize you found TWF, something just got in the way. You just started back last year, and I understand the urgency at 62 being like, "Oh my gosh, nobody taught us these things. This knowledge was withheld from us to keep us in bondage, and I believe that it's a spiritual war that we don't see, and that this knowledge was purposely withheld from us to keep us down. But I also 100% believe, Debbie, that God can make up for that. He can make up for lost time. He invented
Yep.
time. He's outside of time. He's in control of time. And I will be praying over your 8-year goal, and
Hopefully
sooner than eight
sooner.
years, sooner than eight
I
years.
look. I was really nervous for those that are nervous to get in and do this. And I was nervous at first a year ago. Um, but Karen says, just trust me. Han says, just trust me. And I'm like, I don't know yet, but okay, I'm going to trust you. And I looked at it this way. I had a good chunk of money from what 401k I made over the years. And I thought, this is not enough to retire, even with Social Security. And I thought, well, I'm either going to make enough with this or not make enough, and I'm going to work the rest of my life. So might as well jump in. So there's nothing, I felt like nothing I could lose. So,
Great,
yeah.
great point. Absolutely nothing to lose at this point. And I just want to encourage you guys to watch Debbie. She has been around, she is fierce, and she follows direction, and she's trust Hans and Karen, who are absolutely amazing. And when nerves come up or fear comes up, you are in a group now, Debbie, where we are on your side, and we will squash that fear so that you can think clear headed to make the best choices where you're going. And we're all here together. Super excited you joined, Debbie. Grace?
Hi, everybody. My name's Grace. I'm your Canadian in the group, so some of the things will be very new to me. I started paying down debt in April 2021, and it was a little bit slow. We started with the tips from Danny Johnson, and then I met Larissa, and she started her Facebook group. So since then, we've paid off 61% of all of our debt. And since we're on this track of debt paying, I thought investing was still in the future. But then our accountant spoke to me and said that a work plan I was investing in, I had to stop investing because I was over invested in my work plan. So that suddenly freed up some money, and Larissa had been talking about purchasing stocks and opening a brokerage account, which is very intimidating, but I took the jump and did that. And then my husband said to me, do you know Brandon? He's one of our 7 kids. Brandon invests in stocks all the time. You should text him. So I actually text him, and he's my stepson. And I really haven't had a lot of connection with him because he lives 2,000 kilometers away on the other side of Canada. So, but I texted him and said, hey, I bought my first stock. Do you have any advice? And so this young man that I really don't know well has been sending me so many text messages. So joining this class has really opened up communication with Brandon, and I'm just so thankful for that. He sent me 17 text messages last week in one day. So all about stocks and investing. So between what he's telling me and what Larissa's going to share, I feel like this course is coming exactly at the right time. And I did ask Brandon a question yesterday, and he said, you know, that course you signed up for, I was checking out what you sent me, and I think you're going to have a lot of your questions answered when you take this course. And I thought that was really great confirmation. So my reason for taking the course is because I'm 60 and my husband's 64. So we really feel like we need to be a little more prepared for retirement. And I am not confident with my investing skills. So I'm hoping to build confidence.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I just have to say 61% of your debt paid off since 2021. Is that what you said? That's amazing.
Yes,
You
we've combined our farm debt and our personal debt, which I know farm debt is probably an asset, but we want it all paid by the time Brad retires. So all we have left is farmland, and we'll have that paid by December. And then we have our mortgage. So
awesome.
everything else is done. Yeah.
I just want to give you guys a word as to who Grace is. Uh, I mean, it just shows her initiative to pay off that amount of debt in that amount of time. And we're not talking just a little bit of debt. Being a farmer, which is the backbone for life really on this planet, is huge, and it's an expensive undertaking, and you don't always know whether your crop's going to be a good crop or a bad crop. You can't control the weather. Um, so this is huge. I also want to let you guys know, back when I started this free group to help people get out of debt, really a huge reason why that even started is because of Grace and your encouragement, and thank you, because this group has helped so many people, and um, I know that this is just going to be on steroids. So thank you for sharing, Grace. And
Can I add, sorry, can I add one more thing? The other reason I wanted to take this course is because I took your other course on debt reduction, and it was so helpful. And taking it also had Brad and I come on board together. So, and I'm so thankful for that, because as you know, Larissa, he was not on board. He had the mindset of, I'm a farmer, I'll be in debt till I die. And that mindset has changed to 1.5 more years, Grace, and we can retire and play pickleball all the time. So, and I'm so pleased for him, because he is a really hard worker, and I'm looking forward to retirement for him. And Larissa, I feel like that's because of you and everything I learned in your last class and everything I've learned in the Facebook group. And I'm so thankful for you.
wow, well, thank you. Thank you. I received that. And just yeah, I this is going to surpass all of the stuff that we've done together, Grace, for everybody. And that's my prayer. And just I want to give everybody a word of encouragement. I met Sarah when we were on a trip in South Africa. We were in an amazing women's business conference together, and it was life changing. And I fell in love with Sarah and her kindness and her heart, and just a woman of character. So big, big love out to you. Beth is a relatively new person that I've gotten to know, but as you can see, she's passionate. She's like, I can't be there, but here's my notes, and here's this, and here's that. And she's also been in the Faith Finance Freedom group. Just had a great talk with her as well. She's passionate. She's all in. She's got an amazing energy. And finally, rounding it out, I can't say enough about Debbie. This is a woman about details. She doesn't let a thing get by her, and you are like the grounding peg in this group. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to have you. These 5 women and Beth, I'm keeping her in prayer. We're so much stronger together than we are apart. And I will put a few notices out that the group is still open until June 5th, because if somebody is really passionate and wanting to leave a legacy, to learn how to invest, I do not want to withhold that from them. However, I love just the 6 of us. I think that it is really a core dynamic group. So I'm happy with each and every individual and the unique things that you bring to the table. So maybe some people will join in the next week.
Mhm.
Maybe they won't. That I'm just leaving completely open, but I love where we're at now and all of your unique strengths. So it's going to be powerful because you are powerful women. Um, so thank you guys for the so receive that. Let that sink in. Now we have time, we have the surface introduction. I want you guys for homework tonight to get a journal, a spiral notebook, anything to, obviously to take notes, but I really want you to think about your goals and your dreams. And that might sound sort of frou frou, but it's really essential to investing. And Debbie's laughing, right? Sounds a little frou frou, woo woo. Um, but that's going to determine how you invest. If you have a dream to be able to retire in 8 years. That's going to have a different dynamic than a young mom that's got children of, who's 5 and 8 and that has more time.
Mhm.
You're going to have different strategies and you're going to have different reasons for what you do. So you really need to know yourself. Um,
Mhm.
so here are some questions to get you started. And you answered some of it already. What do you want this course to do for you? What do you want from our next 12 weeks together? What do you want financially, spiritually, personally? And again, it's all going to tie into how we invest and the investment strategies. Um, And again, when I give you these questions, you don't have to answer all of them. I'm not going to grade them, but do where you feel led. If you don't want to answer a question, don't answer it. I'm not going to know. What would it look like for you to become a great steward in this season? What would that look like to be a great steward? And as we're faithful in the little, we will be given much, much more. So, what does that stewardship and faithfulness look like? Especially with the way that you handle money. How you handle money when you have a little will be amplified when you have a lot. That's why 97% of lottery winners lose it all within 5 years because their habits are amplified. If you are a giver now, if you give to charity now, if you tithe now, then you will give when you have a lot. If you do not give at all, when you have more, you won't give. People say, oh, if I just had a little more, then I would give. No, you won't. You won't. They don't. You don't. Give now. And that is huge. As we learn from Hans, which I'm not going to be rehashing Hans. Um, Now I just lost track of what I was going to say because I don't want to rehash him. See how powerful his mind is, our minds are. If I say I don't want to rehash Hans, then boom. Okay, I'm not going to. uh, so so yeah, whatever. Become a good steward now. Give now. And I've always said in my groups, even if you can only give $1, you're not going to starve. If you're on a computer with me and have a roof over your head and give $1 to a charity, start small, but be a giver. Also, if you had full confidence in managing your money, how would life be different? If you had full confidence in managing your money, if you had full confidence in how you invest in the stock market, how would life be different? And I'm going to ask, we've talked about it a little. What's held you back from investing or building wealth before now? What's held you back? And we can open it up to, and it might be emotions. You could talk about emotions you had when you think about the stock market or when you think about managing investments. And we heard a little bit lack of confidence, maybe some fear. But what is it for you, do you think, that's held you back?
Basically, for me, just being uneducated, not realizing the benefits of what Hans has introduced us to, and going to take that and pass it on to many people I've already talked to that are interested in having me help them learn how to do it. I do have a girl that I know that I sent her to your mini classes. She's going to start watching them tonight.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So just being uneducated and just now it's like I love the challenge. Within reason. Got to keep it
Right.
within reason.
Right. I can see that you love a challenge.
Yep.
For me, it was not knowing anyone who invested except for Larissa. So very, very intimidating even to open a brokerage account. And then the other reason was we were so focused on paying down debt. Our thought was, both Brad and I, was where do we pull the money from if all of our extra money is going into debt repayment? So when it opened up that we suddenly had a little bit of unexpected extra, it just seemed like a no-brainer to join the class and learn what we could. But I think my biggest reason was fear, always not knowing and not understanding what to do or how to do it. Even opening a brokerage account, which one? So that was a little scary, like which one? There's so many different ones. And I saw Harvey Specter, the lawyer, from Suits. He's doing ads right now for Quest Trade. And I thought, maybe Quest Trade's what we should open. So anyway.
If Harvey Specter is saying Quest Trade,
I know.
I trust Harvey. I
Who's Harvey?
there's a TV show called Suits, and he's a character in the TV
Okay.
show. Yeah, it's we binge
Gotcha.
watched Suits. Yeah, it's I don't watch much TV, but it's a pretty good TV series, especially the humorous characters of Louis Litt and Donna. But back to investing. I love how Grace talked about not knowing anybody who was doing it. Debbie said, I just was uneducated about it. And then fear comes in. So the great thing is we can learn anything. God gave us a brain to learn anything. So, and so here we are. We are getting educated. Grace, obviously, one person, and I love how when you opened up and you're like, oh, I'm doing this, then the floodgates started happening, and your Brad's son, he was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna text you this and this and this. The floodgates open once you take a step, and overcoming fear. The thing that overcomes fear is just taking an action. So we will be talking about how to manage fear as well. And because it can be a fearful thing if you buy a stock and you want it to go up and then it goes down, what do you do? Sometimes you might buy a stock and you don't care whether it goes up or down, but you might still want to get in on the right price. So we will be talking about those things. Another question is, what does biblical wealth look like to you? Another thing you might want to journal. And as I shared, I don't know, God created everything. Like he doesn't have a poverty mindset. And the people that he mentored in the Bible really did not have to worry about whether they were going to eat the next day or whether that they would have a retirement in their old age. So that might be something. Think about if God blessed your investments beyond what you expect, what would you do with the overflow? And we don't need to be super religious. Well, if I had more, I would just give it all away. All right. God loves his daughters. He clothes his daughters in richness and purple garments. So, how would God want to clothe you with strength and dignity in the days to come so you laugh in the face of the future because you know you're secure? That's Proverbs 31. So, think about those things. Please let us know in the group what support you need as we go through these 12 weeks. Things will come up. Let us know what's going to help you stay committed when things feel hard or confusing. Right now, we have an accountability group for 12 weeks. That's going to help. If things start to feel hard or confusing, let us know. We're all here to help each other. On the same track or the alternate track, if something seems a little simplistic and you need to dive deeper, don't be afraid to ask either. Don't shrink back just because you think, well, you know, I don't want to run ahead of the group, or I don't want to hold the group back. Okay, those are our fear statements. Don't let those things hold you back. And while you're on this journey for our next 12 weeks, and also as you continue, you're going to have to consider the season you're in. And whatever season you're in, you're going to have to say no to some things in order to say yes to others. And think about what that might mean for you. Whether it's saying no to how many times you eat out, or saying no to, I'm not going to watch Suits every single night this week because I'm going to do some studying, whatever it might be. Consider those questions. And I think my final question is, as we get into the technicals, as we advance through the 12 weeks, think about what's something you really want to understand by the end of this course, even if it feels far off now. What do you really want to understand about this investing thing? Is it how to read a chart? Is it how to recognize when something is on sale? Is it how to track your performance? Sometimes it's, hey, what's something that I just don't need to worry about? Because there are some things that you don't even need to worry about. What do you really want to understand? Maybe you want to understand Bitcoin. That's a big buzzword, and there are certainly stocks that we're going to um, discuss that Hans teaches that you have access to that are related to Bitcoin. We can get into Bitcoin. Should you have some Bitcoin on the side? What does that entail? I don't understand Bitcoin. Um, Again, that's just throwing out ideas. Um, I know enough about Bitcoin to know what I want to do with it. And I did study with some Bitcoin professionals, so I can help you in that arena. Day trading, swing trading, did a little bit of that. It's important to read a chart. And if there's something that you want to understand deeply that I don't know about, we'll get you the resources and the foundation so that you can go out and learn it. All right, I didn't want to do all the talking. So ladies, how are you feeling? How are these questions? Are they going to help you? Um,
Yeah, I think I wrote it all down, a lot of stuff to think about, focus. Where do I want to go? How do I want to handle this? Keep myself in perspective. Um, I totally forgot what I was going to say. I work 12 hours a day. I'm tired.
oh, it'll come to you, even if you need to text the private chat we have going on Facebook.
Yeah. So we know where Grace is up and we're in Canada. And then Sarah, I kind of like, where do you live and little like demographics and family, personal stuff, if we wanted to share that.
Sure. Um, I actually live in Connecticut.
Okay.
I am a New England girl. I grew up in Massachusetts, but now we're right over the Connecticut line. Um, I so kind of going back to what Larissa just was asking, and then also would give you more information about me. Um, Kind of in terms of how, like, maybe why I haven't done something like this sooner. I feel like it's kind of interesting because I grew up in a family that we didn't have like a lot of money growing up. My dad was a pastor. I feel like money was always a little bit tight for us. And I think I just experienced money as something that like I didn't expect to have a lot of. I grew up in a big family. There's six of us kids. Um, and I'm the oldest of the six. Um, and my husband actually is from Kenya. So he grew up in Kenya. He moved to the States when he was 17, and he's like, he didn't like, he also grew up with like absolutely no concept of this kind of a thing. So we're both very much like learning. And I think, um, wanting to like, yeah, just learn something that we didn't have the opportunity to learn when we were younger. Um, my we actually live in a old farmhouse that's converted into a two-family. So my parents live on one side and we live on the other. So I spend a lot of time with my parents. Yeah, I don't know. I am a currently a stay-at-home mom. I homeschool my two boys. I did work briefly as a nurse for a short period of time. It wasn't the job in particular wasn't a great fit for me, and I also wanted to be home with my kids. So when I was pregnant with my son, I so we do live on just my husband's income. He's a PA, so he works very hard. So he does make good money, but we are battling quite a bit of student loan debt that we haven't quite worked out yet, even though like we've tried over time, but we just haven't nailed it down yet. We're on the same page. That's our goal, pay that off. I think probably this course will show me a little bit more, maybe where I'm not on the same page and I need to like where my mindset, sort of like the what I need to say no to right now, that piece is something I need to think about. Um, but yeah, um, I don't know if there's anything else to say, but yeah, that's kind of me.
I I can definitely relate to the one income.
mm,
We were a one income family for a long time, and you are really at a great place, Sarah, to be here now with your children that young
Mhm.
and paying off debt while you're investing is still a smart thing because you have time on your side. And when it comes to building wealth, time is really the greatest asset
mm,
that you have with compounding. For people that are a little bit older and closer to retirement age, like all of the other ladies in the group right now, we uh, we have to be a little more strategic and use a little more wisdom to not make big mistakes. With you, you can make mistakes. That's how we learn. We learn from mistakes. Mistakes are one of the greatest tools that we have,
Mhm.
but
That's true.
for Grace and myself and Debbie, we want to keep those mistakes as least expensive as possible
mhm,
at this time. So so we're all going to be developing different investment strategies. And as far as being on the same page with your hubby, there's something that I learned when I was being coached by Danny is get that off your mind. You and your husband were not designed to be on the same page.
mm,
You want to understand each other. You want to move forward in the same direction,
mm.
um, and have the wisdom to work together, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So don't feel like, oh, we're not on the same page, something's wrong. No, that's
Mhm,
normal. But as long as your eyes are in the same direction, you guys will balance each other out and be stronger together.
mm.
Um, um, so yeah, that's one thing I learned. All right. Thoughts? I want this to be all about you guys, and I want to shut up because I'm going to be talking a lot over the next 12 weeks.
Mm.
I have a question for Sarah.
Sure.
What's a PA?
Oh,
Oh,
physician assistant. So he works in healthcare. It's like a mid-level provider in the States. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure, so I thought
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, yeah. He's very good at what he does. He's got a big heart and yeah, people love him.
Kind of a PA, is he?
Um, actually right now he primarily works in rehab and like nursing homes. So he works a
Yeah.
lot with older patients, but yeah, he loves that. He worked as a nurse before in a nursing home. That's actually how we met. I was working in the kitchen at the nursing home, and he was a nurse at the time. And yeah, so we met. He loves working with that population. He's good at it.
Yeah, because I'm a nurse as well.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, I done my hospital. I'm done with the hospital. So now I'm working. I just started a new job working in corrections for juveniles for boys 13 to 21.
wow.
Oh, wow.
So love
Awesome.
the boys.
That's amazing.
Make some impressions on them to go down some right paths.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you're there with them. They need people that have a heart like that with them.
Yeah. So I'm down in Florida, actually on the other side of the coast from Larissa.
Ah,
I've been down here for 20 years. My kids are adults, and so I'm married. That's about it.
yeah. Nice.
So, Grace, what part of Canada are you in? That's a huge area up there.
I'm in Saskatchewan and I live in Weyburn, which is about 1 hour from the North Dakota border. So we're not very far from the US. Brad and
Freezing
I,
country.
pardon me,
Freezing country.
only for 4 months of the year. So Brad and I met online in 2012 and we got married in 2015. So I have 3 kids and the youngest is 35 and the oldest is 39. And Brad has 4 kids. The youngest is 30. Oh my goodness, test my knowledge. The oldest is 42 and the youngest is 36. So we have 7 kids. And I don't know Brandon very well. He's the one that's been texting me because he's in the military and lives in Ontario. So that's further east than we are. So, and I work in healthcare. I'm a speech and language pathology assistant. That's not what I trained for. I trained to be an autism interventionist. And I've almost always worked with kids that are between 2 and 6 years old. And then I'm on this group called Dress to Connect with Larissa. I don't know if you guys are in there. And the facilitator challenged us to learn skills in lots of areas. So I thought, well, I know that I like working with the speech and language pathologist in conjunction with autism intervention. So I actually started approaching her and saying, I have 30 extra minutes. How can I help you? And that led to her giving me the passwords for her ASHA courses so that I could audit them. So I audited 18 speech and language classes. And then that led to my supervisor approaching me and saying, we'd like to create a position for you in the speech department. So I've been there. This is going on the 4th year, going on in as a speech and language pathology assistant. So they like to give me a lot of the kids with autism because that's my background, but and I enjoy that, but I really like the speech kids and the kids with other disabilities and other challenges. So yeah, we live in a farming community, but we live in town. So my husband farms 90 quarter sections with his brother. So a quarter section, I think, is about 160 acres. So they farm 90 quarter sections and they are 50% done. So they have a little bit of work ahead of them still. So we don't own all of it. We own 7 quarter sections. The rest is rented land or his brother's land. So he's a hard worker and he works from April until October. And then from October until April, he plays pickleball every day. So,
Wow.
yeah. And he has a construction business on the side, which he's slowly stopping just because he's 64. Yeah.
First of all, I didn't even know Brad had a construction business on the side. That's crazy. But what I wanted to say is I'm blown away by the hearts of you women and the serving and the career paths that you've taken to serve other people. It just blows me away. And yeah, I'm just really, really impressed. Um, Now I do have a question. Anything ever that I give or suggest is, open for discussion. I'm never telling you what to do. I'm just a guide. And if you think I'm wrong about something, that's fine. We can discuss it. But I just wanted to ask Grace. I know that being on the same page with your husband, it depends on how we interpret it. And the thing that I suggested in response to Sarah, that, it's really not about being on the same page. It's about learning, even if you have different pages, how to go in the same direction. I know I've seen you, Grace. I have seen how you have loved your husband. I have seen how you wanted to get out of debt, and he was like, nope, not even going to try it because I know I'm going to have it until I'm dead. How did you navigate that? And do you agree about the same page, you know, idea that I put forth? Because I just want to open that up to you because I think we're all married here. And I've seen what an honorable wife you are, and I would love to have your input.
I took time to listen to what he was telling me, instead of, well, at first I was on the defensive, like, we have to do this and this is possible, but he was really against it. So I stopped talking about it and just started listening. And the things that are really important to him, I figured out was his truck and playing pickleball and having a vacation. So when we were paying down debt, we Larissa calls it fun money. Brad and I call it savings. And we made sure that there was enough money for a 3-week vacation every year, which is what he wants. And I know that the advice was to take your smallest debt and pay that off and then snowball it to the next debt and the next larger one. I didn't do that. I chose his truck to pay off first, which was $40,000. So it was a larger debt, but every time there was extra money. And it took some searching because I'm not on the truck loan. I wasn't. So I had to go to the dealership and just explain that I wanted to make additional payments on the truck. And how could I do that? So they helped me figure that out, and I didn't tell Brad. And then one day, he was, I watched him make payments, and I said to him, hey, you don't have to pay the truck loan anymore. And he said, why? And I said, it's totally paid off. And he was like flabbergasted. So paying off something that was important to him is what got him on board with debt reduction and making sure that our fund money went to something that he really wanted to do. So he was really instrumental in telling me, I really think you should take this course with Larissa because the first course you took with her has gotten us so far. So we aren't always on the same page. I wish we didn't go away for 3 weeks because I keep thinking about putting it on debt. We'd be out of debt a little bit faster. And also 3 weeks away from my clients is quite a while, but it's important to him. So I guess that would be what I suggest. Find out what's important to your husband and if possible, really try and make that a priority.
That's a neat story.
Yeah, I thought he was going to have a heart attack on the couch. So, and I didn't feel like I was keeping a secret because I earn an income as well. So, and it all goes into a joint account, but he doesn't always watch it. Now he does. Now Larissa knows this. Now it's become where he sits down once a month with different colored highlighters and highlights where all of our money has gone in that month. So he's done a complete 360. Or is it a
Right.
180? I think it's a 360. I don't know. I'm not a
I-
math person.
I think it's a 180
I think
because
so. Yeah,
because
a
a 360
180
he'd be
would be all.
backward.
So,
Oh
yeah.
goodness. No, Grace, that's that aside from the math thing right there, um, that is amazing. And I know we're right about at our hour, and I want to respect everybody's time, but this is a perfect spot to close out is to make sure that we're listening to our husband, finding out what is important to them. And I mean that sort of honor is going to be returned to you. Maybe not right away because Grace, definitely had to put a lot of sacrifice and time into it. But now you guys are moving in the same direction. And um, yeah, so impressed. And maybe Brad will be making another big whiteboard when it comes to your investments.
I hope so. We do have a whiteboard for our debt reduction. And then I have stickers all over it that say, we can do this. Yay, look at us, which he doesn't care about, but I think it's motivating.
I love it. And I would love to see another picture in the Faith Finance Freedom group of that because that board's always inspiring to me. Right. So this has been just a blessing to get to know you all. Take a look at those questions, journal where you're led. So as we move forward with learning the technicals, you will have a guide within yourself on how you want to invest. And are there any other questions before we step out tonight? Questions, comments, thoughts?
Um, during the Zoom meetings, do we need to have access to a computer?
You can do it on your phone.
Okay. So it doesn't, we don't need like, we're not going to be like opening up things on the internet while we're talking.
No,
Okay.
no. There may be some times where I'm opening up some things,
Okay.
and you might want a bigger screen than your phone, but it's going to be recorded. So
Okay.
that's a great question.
Okay.
I have a question about True Wealth Formula. Is that what it's called with Hans Johnson?
Yes.
I haven't really dived into that. As a beginner, are his lives, Facebook lives, very beneficial as a beginner, or would it be more Karen we listen to? So I guess that's my question.
Okay, that is a great question. Personally, I try to listen to everything. For
Okay.
Hans and for the Facebook Lives that Hans does, I try and get my husband to listen to that because it doesn't get as deep or technical or potentially confusing with the lingo. And so, but I try and listen to everything myself, but I don't make my husband do that. Debbie, I know you've been with Hans for a while. What would be your thoughts on that for Grace?
The first thing I did was I went and got his book, The True Wealth Formula, and I read through his book, so I had an idea of what his foundation is about and his direction and how he was going to teach us. And then I signed up, and you meet a lot with Karen. Karen's wonderful. She will show you the ropes on how to work the system or the website that he has set out with doing your balance sheet, doing learning his program and learning his calculator that he has in there that's just phenomenal. And he has his own program in there that you would go in and learn. It goes more, kind of along the same thing along of his book, but more in depth. And so it's a combination of Karen and Hans's. They're not live; they're videotape that you go in there and you learn and you do them at your own pace. In the beginning, I would get overwhelmed a lot, but just stop and clear your mind and go back to it when your mind is fresh, because it can be a lot at first, but you're not in a hurry. There's no reason to be in a hurry. So the Karen will guide you as to which classes to go take first, and along with what her trainings will be. And then as far as his lives, his once a month with the MCG Pro, that's the higher level. Yeah, he can, like Larissa says, she talks to us at high school level where we understand English. He will talk at that college level, and it's just going to take time to really start understanding and learning all the extra stuff that he talks about. But, and at first I thought that I'm not really getting a lot that I thought for a beginner, but at the same time, for the cost that I was paying, but at the same time, um, had I not been in the group a month ago, I wouldn't have caught the dip. I wouldn't have known about it. So it's such a good support system. So it just takes time to learn stuff, and just take one, like if you want to learn about the candlesticks, so go learn what candlesticks are, or if that's something you want to get into. The first thing I did though was learn about the dividends and the shares and getting invested, because I had a good chunk of money from my 401k that I needed to allocate out and start making money on. That was my first goal. So you just learn at your pace. When you get overwhelmed, walk away from it and go back to it another day. So, but working with Karen is awesome.
Thank you. That helps me a lot. I will start with the book, which I actually have read before, but I think I should read it again.
Yeah, I'm going to read it again too and do it all over again.
Just the book that they're talking about is this book on Amazon. And
I think it's less than $10, isn't it?
it's like
It's not that
10, 14, something like
it's
that.
not expensive at all.
It's not. So I do want to piggyback on what Debbie said. Now, I think they are doing the actual onboarding with Karen when you're in the pro group. That is $100 a month. But at this point, here is one of my big goals for everyone. And I think Debbie can relate to this because I know you started with Hans and then you stopped. I have had friends that were in TWF for a year without buying their first stock, wasting all of that money, did not even open a brokerage account. And I thought, oh my gosh, I just like, what? Why are you got to open a brokerage account so you can apply? What's going on? What happened? And a lot comes into play that we talked about today: fear, lack of confidence. And one of my big goals is to get women into TWF because I know it works as a lifetime strategy, building for your retirement, leaving a legacy. And Grace can attest, since we started the group, I've mentioned TWF. I'm like, please open a brokerage and buy one stock. Even if you're afraid, buy something for $10. You can, don't be afraid of that. You spend more at Starbucks. But people were not joining, or they were joining and then they would leave. So for you ladies that are starting out, you've opened your brokerage account. You're buying your first stock. Now you won't be sitting there for a year. without even having a stock. Now, Hans has curated a list of stocks that pay good dividends in companies that he trusts. So in TWF, you will get a list of those stocks to get you started. And I don't want to give away any of Hans's IP. And since we are all members of TWF, we can talk about TWF. I told Sarah the first stock to buy was OXLC because it's like $3.50. I think we can overcome our fear to spend $3.50.
Dude, I bought it at 5 something.
Okay, see, it's on sale.
And it's on sale.
So once you're in, and as we go through this course, you will have the confidence to listen to Hans and not be overwhelmed. At some point, maybe you want to join the pro, but this is a lifetime. I know you paid for a year, but to me, this is a lifetime membership. And Hans, he is like a PhD. So I'm kind of like your tutor to get you going. And I will be teaching you things that he doesn't teach because he's like at a PhD level. And I am coming alongside you and lifting you up to get to that level to where you're comfortable and confident. So I hope that makes sense. Because I am passionate about the abundance that God has just waiting for you and leaving that legacy. So,
Oh,
so there we go.
Even with buying stocks, I have 3 different ones that I've been buying. I bought into one that Brad asked me to, which is his son said it's a little bit risky, but again, I tried to listen to what he wanted so that he could be on board and involved as well. So I just wanted to say that because I think that's important for our husbands too.
Excellent. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, Hans has the curated list, but I buy stuff that's not on the list. I have learned to um,
fish.
I've learned to make the portfolio my own.
Yeah.
And you will too. And you will, learn to take that as a foundation. All right, I see Andrea has just popped in just as we're about to leave. I'm so glad to see your face. Andrea is an amazing, beautiful, passionate, kind-hearted woman. And before we close out, Andrea, maybe you just want to say hi and introduce yourself, and you will get the recording so you can catch up on everything.
Thank you. Yes, I apologize. I am Andrea and I'm from Houston, Texas. And Larissa is amazing. And I've done coaching with her and I've met her in person several times. And I'm just super excited to see what God does with your amazing anointing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And you definitely have homework tonight. So watch the replay, catch up. We're getting to know each other, and we're going to hit the ground running week 1 next week, June 5th, 8 p.m. And thank you, ladies. Thank you for spending time with me, trusting me, and can't wait to see you next week.
Thanks, Larissa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larissa. It was so nice to meet everybody.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Larissa. This is very exciting. Thank you.
Yeah.